Okay, this is the basic HTML presentation. This is the second presentation of a number of different little tags that we're going to be using, and some of these I've already shown you. So let's begin, and you can pause this if you need to, because I'm going to go through this rather quickly. The first one is the horizontal rule. The horizontal rule, as some of you have already discovered, is a line across the page. You have some attributes that go right inside the horizontal rule tag. That would be right after the R and in front of that little brace thing. These are align, size and pixel, that's how thick it is, and width, how far across the page. And you can use a percentage here, which is very useful. We also have something called no shade, and this is sometimes necessary, and you'll see in the example I show in a few minutes or a few seconds that this is sometimes necessary to let the color come through. And this is your first introduction to a style tag. We can use a style tag to change the color here. So you could say something like style equals quote color colon and then one of the colors and then end quote. Okay. If you had this code, for example, let's just review quickly HTML code here. It starts with the HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, okay? And it has an end HTML tag. Inside the HTML tags, there's two major parts. There's the head part, begin and end tag there. Within that, there's only the title that we've learned so far. There's other things that go in there, but that's later on. The main thing we're working on now in the next few weeks is going to be the body. And the body contains all the stuff for the main head page, or for the main web page. There's a begin, and down here, as you can see, there is an end. Okay. Let's see. Inside the body tag, we have a header tag, and this is for a header. That means headings that are up over the text in the body portion. Okay. Does not have anything to do with this part up here called the head. The heading tag has an align center, and there we have this is a center. This is a heading, and I've done this a few times. Okay, put a paragraph in here with this is some text. Now here's our first horizontal rule right here. Okay, I can show you that like that. There's our first horizontal rule. No attributes. Here's our second horizontal rule right here, and here's our third horizontal rule. Attributes on this one are center. I centered both of these. This one I did 5, but notice I left out the no shade tag, and I did a width of 50. And on this one down here, I did a width of 80%. That's 50%. That's 80%. And I put in the no shade tag. So you're going to see a difference here, and I'll show you. The color here on this one does not come through quite as well as it does on the no shade. And finally, this one I did a style red, so you'll see some red on there. You should see something that looks like this. The top one up here, where my cursor is at this point, is the heading, right under the heading, and it is a simple HR, horizontal rule all the way across. The next one down here that you'll see, this is the one with the shading in it, and it interferes. It normally would be a black line as thick as you see it there, but the shading interferes with the color. Okay. And then finally, this one down here is the red one, and of course the no shade does not interfere with the color. Okay. The break tag, you already know about this one, puts blank lines in. No end tag needed. Use as many of these as you need to kind of space things apart on the page. You'll remember putting returns in doesn't do anything in a paragraph tag or anyplace else. The middle dot, the ordinal, the non-breaking space, important characters to use. The non-breaking space is useful because that means that anything you put a non-breaking space in, you can actually space it over and it'll look spaced over on the page, unlike the space bar that is ignored. Middle dot's nice for that. Ordinal, don't use so much. You can try that. The way you do these is you put ampersand, number sign, and then the number, but most people can't remember that. So you can also do it by putting ampersand and the name here. It's easier to remember mid dot and NBSP for non-breaking space than it is to try and remember these numbers. Okay, the center tag, most of you have figured that one out too. Simply centers things. Put it around a number of objects. You can have a picture and maybe a couple paragraphs centered by doing the center tag. Must have a begin and end. Another neat one is the font tag. The font has to do with changing the font within a paragraph. So you can have like a few words and you can have font tags surrounding them. So you can have this embedded inside paragraph tags. We have attributes of color, face, and size. If you want to see all the different face types, just drop down Word and take a look and you'll see there's a number of different face types. We've got to be careful though. Some of these your browsers may not recognize, or they may not be on some systems. So as a result, the browser will substitute a standard one if yours, the one you picked, isn't there. The last one we're going to look at is the marquee. The marquee is used in Internet Explorer only. Very distracting. Please don't use it much, but I'm just putting it in for completeness here. It has a begin and end, and any words you put between it are marqueed, scrolled, slid, whatever. And the thing that controls that, of course, is the attributes. And for the attributes, we have behavior, which tells whether you want to scroll it, slide it, or make it alternate. And so you put behavior equals, say, slide, and the text will slide across the screen. You have a background color you can use, and you can use a direction, down, left, right, up. So you can do like a movie scroll. We have height, we have loop, we have scroll amount, we have delay. The way this works is you can make your marquee a certain height or a certain percentage of your page. You can also loop it a number of times and then it stops. If you leave loop out, it goes on forever. Scroll amount, the way the scrolling and the sliding works is it moves your text so many pixels and then delays. So these next two control that. You can control your speed. If you leave it, it works pretty well just without these in. But if you have to slow it down for some reason, here's how to do it. And finally, the width. How wide you want it. Again, pixels or percent work here. Okay, now we're at the end.